Welcome, everybody, to Season 2, Episode 3 of the weekly quantum world Detangled, coming to you from around the world and my home, Miami. With my friends, Denise.
Hi, everyone. Denise Ruffner, Chief Business Officer at Cambridge Quantum Computing in Pasadena, California, amid the heat and fires in Southern California. But it's a great time of year. And Tommaso.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Tommaso from Entropical Labs, calling you from Singapore.
My name is André König. I'm the CEO of Interference Advisors and excited to introduce one of our good friends, Abhi Rampal, joining us, CEO and founder of Solid State AI. Abhi, please introduce yourself.
Hi, yeah, I'm the CEO and founder of Solid State, Solid State AI, and happy to be here, and we're really looking forward to having some nice conversations with you guys.
Well, and we've known each other for a while, and you've known everybody else here for even longer. I tried to find out something personal about you, and LinkedIn doesn't show any hobbies, any associations, nothing. I stalked you on Facebook, on Twitter. I Googled you. Tell us something personal. What kind of hobbies? What does Abhi do when you don't do quantum AI?
Well, so actually, I will address the first question first, which is why can't you find information about me? That's done by design. I've purposely kept my personal life completely hidden away from the world. So that's by design. But okay, so my hobby, I play guitar. I've been playing guitars now for close to 20 some odd years now.
Best guitar player to ever live?
I beg your pardon?
The best guitar player to ever live?
Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix.
Bar none. Bar none. But yeah, I own close to 10 guitars now, and racks and racks of amplifiers and equipment, stuff like that. So yeah, so that's one piece of information that's not out there. That's now.
We announce it here for the first time exclusively, a holiday edition of World Detangled with Abhi on the guitar. In the meantime, Denise, let's find out more about Solid State AI.
So Abhi, first of all, tell us where you and your company are located.
Yeah, we're located in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So that's where we're located. And yeah.
Tell us about your company. Tell us what Solid State AI does.
Oh yeah, so Solid State AI, we develop products, specifically machine learning or quantum machine learning products that helps manufacturers increase yield and throughput. And so the specific industry that we're focused in manufacturing is in the semiconductor, automotive, and aerospace industries.
And I think recently you just signed a customer. Can you tell us about that, or do I have that correct?
No, you have that correct. I can't, unfortunately, because we deal with customers that want to keep everything hush hush. So yes, we did sign a customer, which is awesome. So I can tell you what we're doing for the customer.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah. So we're helping them improve their yields. So we're helping them figure out why are they not having the same product quality and the same production as they usually have. And so that's the first thing that we're helping them with. And the second thing that we're helping them with is to figure out how to improve their production quality and their speed of production.
And what type of improvements in production do you project that you can do for this customer?
For this customer specifically, we can improve their production qualities by about 5%.
Which is really significant if you give that some context. So can you give us?
Yeah, so for example, 5% in the space that we work in could be revenue, increases of revenues of beyond $100 million. Yeah, and so that's a lot of money.
Yeah, so that's a very compelling argument and a very compelling kind of mission for your company to do. So it must be exciting to get the customer validation that you're getting.
Oh yeah, so there are actually 2 or 3 things that we really focus on. So the 2 I just mentioned, which is increasing yield and throughput. The third one is to enable manufacturers to get to the high volume manufacturing as quickly as possible, and that's very valuable because if you take an example of let's say like an Intel, right? If Intel could make chips, essentially, let's say 5 months earlier than they are right now, then that's equivalent to a huge market cap for them, right? And that's equivalent to them being able to go out and not allow AMD, as it were, to come in and steal some of their market share.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Now, I think when I met you, you were part of the Creative Destruction Lab program, right?
That is correct, yes.
So you are a graduate of CDL, I think, as is Tommaso with Entropica. So
Yep.
it's a kind of CDL alumni meeting of sorts.
Yeah.
So
actually,
go on.
Actually, Tommaso was he was a year after we were, right?
Yeah, we were the year after. This is like we met. When did we start? We started in 2018, and you were in 2017, right? Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So, Abby, how long has Solid State been in existence? If you guys, 2017?
Yes. So we were founded in September 2017.
And tell us a little bit about your background. You're one of my favorite people to talk to about physics. So tell us your background and your love for physics, because I think that's really interesting.
Yeah. So before I started Solid State AI, I was finishing off a postdoc where I was measuring the gravitational constant G by using light. And prior to that, I was finishing off a PhD, of course, and that was in designing, fabricating, and testing these mechanical structures that are 1,000 times thinner than a hair. And I was essentially getting them to move by shining light on them. Yeah, and then before that, I was actually working as a coder for a company out here in Toronto, and we were developing and designing and of course also deploying basically medical imaging software. So these things are called PACS, like picture archival and capturing systems. Yeah. So so the company that I work for, myself and my friend Roman, we developed the MRI and the CAT scanning system for that software. And before that, while I was finishing my bachelor's in engineering physics, I was also working for a company where we were coding for the world's. We were coding actuators that went into the world's first floating oil rig.
Wow! So what a background! Physics, coding, getting through Creative Destruction Labs, a perfect kind of combination of skills for a CEO of a quantum software company.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hand it over to Tommaso to now grill you on some science questions. So bring it on, Tommaso.
Sure. Okay, thanks, Denise. And Abhi, it's really great to have you here with us. Always nice to see you again. Look, since I met you in 2018 in Toronto for the Creative Destruction Lab, I really remember how straightforward, honest, just like, it's always great to talk with you. And then one question I have is the following. I think it's really interesting, the solid state AI, and that like you folks are working on advanced manufacturing, because it's an area that is often, I would say pretty much always, ignored by the quantum computing community as a whole. Yeah. What is not entirely clear to me, and then my question for you would be the following. When you work with clients or when you just work on your own internal development, I know you mentioned machine learning or you mentioned AI. Are you using conventional machine learning techniques, or are you already experimenting with quantum machine learning or whatever quantum computing technique specifically for the customers? Or is all this something that you're keeping in mind, you're keeping your eyes open for the future?
Oh, no. I mean, so I would like to distinguish between the product that we develop and the development that we do in-house for quantum computing and quantum machine learning specifically. So with regards to the quantum machine learning part, the way we think about quantum machine learning is really understanding how to embed data into the quantum hardware, right? And so we work very, very hard figuring that out. And so our the way we think about basically quantum computers is we take a look at the architecture of the quantum computer itself, right? So for example, if we take a look at IBM's architecture, right? So we look at how the qubits connected basically with each other, and then we also understand, okay, given that this is the architecture of let's say IBM system or D-Wave system or whoever, now how can we either design algorithms or how can we think about embedding data into the hardware so that we can minimize the least number of qubits that are wasted for non-operational things. So for example, how do we maximize logical qubits? So that's how we really think about the quantum machine learning part. And then, of course, on top of that, so once you figured out how to embed your data inside of the hardware, then from there, it's more like we do a lot of things with graph theory, and a lot of things like, okay, how do we think about cliques, and how do we think about basically other sections of the graph theory in order to really understand what ideas to extract out of the hardware, or rather extract out of the data. Yeah.
Okay, got it, thanks. And since you're mentioning hardware, if I'm not mistaken, and especially since you went through the CDL program, I believe you have used both let me say quantum annealers, so like the D-Wave machine specifically, and also gate-based computers like IBM or Rigetti. So what are your thoughts on the two different architectures, more in general and specifically for manufacturing? Do you see any difference? Do you see any benefit? Do you see any benefit in using quantum annealers, for example, moving forward?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So what it comes down to at the end of the day, regardless of the D-Wave system or the IBM system, I'm sorry, the gate-based systems or the annealers, right? What it comes down to is for the specific types of problems that we're solving, there's a set number of qubits and there's a set number of connectivity between the qubits that we need, period, right? And so whatever allows us to maximize the number of logical qubits, that's what we want. So now answering your question directly, is it D-Wave is it the annealers or is it the gate-based basic systems? Right now, I would say that the annealers are working very well. That's all, and that's, I think, because of the connectivity and the number of qubits. That's it, right? But we have done stuff with gate-based models, and we've actually also done simulations using the gate-based models, and they work as well. So it's just a matter of scaling it.
Nice, thanks. Let me jump back a little bit on the manufacturing side. So as you know, I guess as everyone know, in this call and anyone who's listening, one of the big open problems in quantum computing is identifying the use cases, right? Everyone is always gets excited and a bit worried about use cases. So let's think about advanced manufacturing for a second. Do you think, or have you seen anything specific about the kind of computational problems in advanced manufacturing that could benefit from quantum computing? Or it just happens that you're interested in advanced manufacturing and in quantum computing, so let's put the two things together? Is it more by design or is it by chance?
No. So there is method to madness. There is. So it turns out that if you look at the type of data sets which comes out of basically of essentially advanced manufacturing, those sort of data sets, it is often the case that the anomalous signals are deep buried in this large data set, right? So it becomes a needle and haystack problem, right? And generally, if you want to find the needle in the haystack, that becomes a combinatorial optimization problem. right? And guess what quantum computers were built to do? Solve those exactly type of problems. So that's exactly what we do. We figure out that, okay, you have all this data. This goes back to what I was telling you, right? You have all this data. How do you embed that data into the quantum computer so that you can find that needle?
So do you think is a problem, or do you think the issue here is signal to noise ratio pretty much, or is it more about finding correlations that are drowned into massive amount of data and I guess a lot of, I would say, not useful information?
Well, it is all of that, and it's also a matter of figuring out how the signal is buried in the background. So I would say, in added to signal to noise ratio, it's also the signal to background ratio. Yeah, so like SNR, SBR. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. That's really great, actually. And do you think we are getting closer to using quantum computers in production for the kind of problems that we are discussing?
Well,
I know it's a very generic question, and this is a very nuanced one. But I'm just curious to basically get a sense of how you see the industry evolving and whether there is something exciting for you that is happening now in quantum computing.
Oh, okay. So from the technical development standpoint of view, there's a lot of exciting stuff happening, which is amazing. From the implementation, from the implementation and the use case standpoint of view, I would say 2 to 5 years we're still out. But yeah, I mean I can definitely see with the revisions coming up with quantum computers how there'll be more and more industrial use cases.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Very, very interesting. I'll pass it to André, who has a bunch of interesting questions for you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And one of my favorite philosophers, Marcel Proust, came up with a famous questionnaire adapted by James Lipton for the Actors Studio, adapted by myself for you, Abhi. One-word answers are perfect. One-sentence answers are tolerated. Anything longer than that will be reprimanded. There's no wrong or right. We're just trying to have a little bit of fun. Abhi, are you ready?
Yeah.
What would you consider the principal aspect of your personality?
Always hungry for knowledge.
What quality do you desire most in an entrepreneur?
Irrational optimism.
What quality do you desire most in a scientist?
Hunger for knowledge.
So you're a good scientist.
I'm a scientist.
What is your best virtue?
Irrational optimism.
You're not getting out of it that easily. What's your principal flaw?
Stupidity.
What do you appreciate most about working in quantum technologies?
Fun.
Why?
We're trying to get nature to do something that, from an engineering standpoint of view, the very act of measuring it destroys it. And we are designing this delicate system wherein we try to prepare it, for it to do all these calculations. And then we try to keep it isolated just to the point where we can measure it and see our answers. It's just fun.
And if not having fun as a quantum entrepreneur or scientist, what would you like to be?
A teacher.
Who's your favorite scientist?
Well, I don't have a.
This is about emotion.
I said the Wright brothers.
Who's your favorite entrepreneur?
Don't have one. Sorry. Okay. If I'm being twisted, Elon Musk.
He is very popular. What is your favorite quantum computing modality?
Don't have one yet. Yeah, I'm
Think you'll
still.
be having one sometime?
Maybe. I'm on the sidelines right now.
We'll have to dig into that a little bit more. What is your
Yeah.
quantum dream?
I'm sorry, what is mine?
Quantum dream.
What is gravity doing with quantum? Where is that phase space where gravity and quantum interact? Yeah.
What is your quantum nightmare?
There doesn't exist one. There isn't a nightmare at all. Yeah.
If bad people do bad things with quantum?
Well, that's going to happen. It's like, there's a hammer, right? A hammer can be used to make a house, or it can be used to kill a person. You can't blame the person that makes the hammer. You can only blame intentions. Humans are humans. We're flawed.
Let's take it all the way for our last question. If you had the first universal quantum computer, who would you give it to?
Well, given the fact that we are in COVID right now, I think I would give it to the drug guys to figure out how to make a vaccination to, cure the problems. That's who I would give it to right now.
That is a great answer. Thank you so much, Abhi. It was a pleasure to have you.
Certainly, thank you.
The least bit stupid, and we'll dig into your guitar playing and why you don't like the current modalities another time.
Yeah, well, no, it's not like I don't like the current modalities. All that I'm saying is that I'm on the fence as to who may or may not win, or who's going to be the best. Only because there's always that person who's sitting in the background who's working on things quietly. That's going to come in there and just completely obliterate everybody, right? And it's like what Bill Gates said, right? Who's he afraid of? He's afraid of the person in the garage who is inventing something that he doesn't know about, right? And that was Google.
Thank you so much, Abhi. Please look up Solid State AI, a great company out of the Creative Destruction Lab, like our Tommaso and Entropica. Denise, thank you so much for your great questions. This concludes Season 2, Episode 3 of the weekly Quantum World Detangled. You are now detangled.